Hello, if you are following my reviews for some time or if you are interested in the earphones topic, then probably you know about the KB Ear companies. They created a few really successful models, a few models with good price to quality ratio. I reviewed almost all their offers, and today I'd like to tell about their new affordable hybrid in-ear monitors they've named Lark. And price is $30, and what surprised me here about this model is that they basically did a recall for this model, because first version that was released had some treble spike at the 4 kHz area, and it received a few negative reviews, and then KB Ear decided to recall that model, retune it, and release updated version. You know, it's a really good deed for the earphones manufacturer itself, and for the affordable $30 model it's even better. So, and I've got already updated version, and today I will tell you about it. So it's a single dynamic driver and single balanced armatures, price is $30, let's have a closer look. Package is simple, but it's definitely much better than vast majority of other manufacturers offers in this price range. You can see it's not the typical matchbox-like package that is used by the KZ and CCA and others. It's bigger, it looks better, it's a bit hard to unpack properly, but this way it can be pulled, the sleeve can be pulled off. But meanwhile, 16 ohms of impedance, 106 decibels of sensitivity, so, and 2-pin connectors, nice good figures, so not power hungry, not noise speaking. Inside there is additional box, it opens this way. Let's see what we need to pull out first. So, as usual, few shakes required. You can see that everything is packaged in separate boxes, looks nice. So, earpieces themselves. You will even get the storage pouch, actually pretty good looking. And I think it's a big lesson for companies like KZ that put only 3 pair of tips and cable, and that's all. So also you will have 2 set of tips, 3 pair of gray silicons, 3 pair of white silicons with a bit different bores diameter, but actually not big difference in terms of sound, but white ones are a bit softer, and stock cable. As you can see, accessory set is really huge and really generous, and probably it's the best accessory set in the $30 range. Here are earpieces themselves. They are available in few color versions. I've got this a bit greenish one, but of course there are different options available. We've seen this such build before. Transparent plastic inner part of the shell and metal faceplate, now with a comb-like structure, and looks pretty attractive, nice level of manufacturing. And here you can see the internals, dynamic driver, and basically some wiring, and 2 wires goes into the spout, so we can safely assume that it's a traditional schema when one of the drivers, actually balanced armature driver, is located inside of this spout. Spouts are made of metal, there is a lip for holding the tips, some transparent protective filter, and everything is built fairly well. Feed quality is good, shells are pretty small, ergonomic, sound isolation is slightly above average, so everything here is done nicely. I like this stainless steel shine of the faceplates. Cable is made replaceable. Here used 2-pin connectors with recessed pins, but actually it's a bit different compared to the KZ, because pins are less recessed here and socket is less protruded. But stock cable did its job well, and actually you can use any 2-pin connector here, so it won't be any issues. Let's connect both earpieces. I don't know why I'm doing that, but why not? So stock cable, of course, is a bit simple. It's just expectable for this price. It's thin, it's a bit prone to tangling, but luckily microphone effect is low. There is a chin slider that you can use pretty efficiently. It's not getting too hard when it's cold outside. It's pretty soft, so no issues with ergonomics. Ear hooks without memory wire, but still holding the cable pretty well and doing its job, so fairly good stock cable, so nothing stellar. It's like okay, but no cigar, but for $30 I think it's still good. Anyway, in terms of design, in terms of package, in terms of accessory set, I think this model overperforms its price tag by a huge margin. And of course about the sound, I gave them 48 hours of burn-in. I didn't expect any noticeable sound change, and they didn't happen. So basically no burn-in required here, maybe just few hours or even less, so no sense in bothering burning them in. Better spend some time finding the proper tips it's required to achieve their full performance. But anyway, let's have a player on the table and let's talk about the sound. You know, it's really hard to describe the sound of this model because, you know, if we take price into account, they are really great. It's really well balanced tuning. It's not a fun V-shaped signature, but neither it's dull or natural or clinical. It's, you know, really good and fairly balanced option for those who like natural representation, who likes detalization, but of course without being too flat and lifeless. And if we won't took price into account, of course, like $100 range models or some models that is above $50, of course, will be better. And it's, you know, describing this model, it's hard to stay away from loud words. But actually, I think it's safely to say that sometimes this model punches above its price limit, especially if you're looking for some really affordable model with natural and not color tuning, and that's it. But of course, I'm always taking price into account because otherwise it won't make much sense, you know, just like I have Andromeda, I have Solaris, I have a lot of other expensive models from Noble, from Unique Melody, and all affordable models reviews in this case would sound just like, okay, this one is much worse, it's lacking many things comparing to upper than $2,000 in ear monitors, but I'm trying to take the price into account, and I think it's the proper way of doing things. Of course, it's the subject that could be disputed, but that's my opinion. So let's proceed to the sound of this model, and I won't do any references like for its price or not comparing with more expensive models. Just keep that in mind. So I'm doing reviews based on the price ratio. So lower frequencies here is a bit highlighted, but it's definitely not a bass head model, and it's even neither a bass head. It's just like, you know, basic required low frequencies accent to add the required weight. I am not saying additional, I am saying required weight to the notes, to the instruments, to basically it's the necessary foundation that lower frequencies build here. Lows go pretty deep, almost to maximum depths, and it's controlled well, and there is no particular accent on the mid bass, so deeper layers of bass are also present. And low frequencies have a good punch, but of course in terms of quantity it's not a typical V-shaped model, so keep that in mind still. They are more suited for the acoustic instruments, for the natural low frequencies. With electronic music they are also enjoyable, but of course if a major part of your media library is some kind of electronic music, probably you need to consider something more V-shaped. But if you listen to other genres with real instruments, when you need details, when you need that small nuances, when you need good texturing, it's definitely a nice option. Still, lion's share of electronic music sounding here is also good. Just, you know, I'd prefer a bit more low frequencies, but it depends on the record. For example, with The Prodigy, it's enough of low frequencies. With Daft Punk, I'd like to have some more. But major part of my media library is jazz, rock, metal, and here this model definitely shines and definitely shows that value. And as an example, I got Nathaniel Rateliff and The Night Sweets, Wasting Time, and this track starts with few really powerful kicks to some big drum, and this model definitely renders that nicely with all necessary body and texture and impact. And the rest of this track also has some bass part, of course, and I'm not sure are they using bass guitar or some kind of acoustic bass, but it's sounding enjoyable and nicely. And mids, what is probably the best part about this model, mids here are not recessed. Maybe just a little bit, but they definitely sound prominent, they sound present, and it's not the typical V-shaped model where low frequencies dominating over the mid. So if you like mid frequencies, if you need good resolution, if you need small nuances, it's model for you. Of course, it's not focused on the micro contrast, it's not the model that will pull every single small nuance and throw just to your face. No, it's just, you know, good, fairly well balanced armatures. Pun intended, of course. So it's not leaning towards the super micro detalization, but bit shifted towards that side. And not highlighting weight and not trying to add the macro dynamics, not trying to highlight emotions. So they are pretty pure in terms of sound. They're not trying to highlight something. They are a bit critical for the quality of records, but it's probably expected outcome for the natural and mid-forward balanced armatures. And at the same time they're not super sensitive, so just try to get some better remastered versions and that's it. Imaginary stage is above average, not by a huge margin, but still above average, so everything is pretty good here. So, and both depth layering and width is a bit better than depth, but still depth layering is done on the nice level. And as an example, one of my most favorite Metallica tracks, of course it's cover version from the Garage Inc., Turn the Page. It could be actually a good example of low frequencies because bass guitar part here is really juicy. But of course the main part here is guitar solo and head-filled vocals, and this model plays it nicely. Of course it's still not something like from $200 range or even above, but for this price it's really nice performance. And treble here is slightly accented, and they, as I've said in the beginning of this video, they reduced treble accent, but still it's not the model for the treble sensitive persons. It's like, you know, it's basic balanced armature treble, a bit highlighted, pretty clean, crisp, with average extension, but it's pretty good in rendering overtones. Layering is really basic, but for $30 it's also one of the expected outcomes. So, you know, when you listen to some model with good performance, some affordable model with good performance, you're starting to expect the same quality that expensive model does, but still, of course, it's like over demanding for this model. So let's go back. Nice in terms of resolutions, a bit faster attacks and decays, a bit lightweight treble, but nice, clean, crisp, good for percussions, good for overtones, but not for the rich layering or small nuances. But for $30 still I will repeat price more and more because I must convince myself that they are not that expensive. And as an example, it's Sting, Sister Moon. Basically every single Sting's track is a good example of treble. Maybe there are a few exceptions, but usually a lot of different bells, chimes, percussions, cymbals and other stuff. So these earphones highlighted a little bit, and of course they simplify all that stuff a little bit, but still sounding pretty enjoyable and not synthetic, no extra harshness, so no that metallic sound. Basically really good performance here too. So to summarize everything once again, fairly natural model with slightly highlighted bass and treble, but still staying on the natural side of things, but at the same time not being monitoring or analytical, so you know it's kind of fun type of neutrality. In terms of pairing, they can be used with with smartphones, with tablets, but to unveil full potential you will need some player. And actually, you know, they have a lot of potential of growth with the source. So basically up to FIO M11 they can be used with these dubs. Speaking about the conversions, there is not much models in this price range that I can recall. Basically, I don't know, KZ ZSN Pro. I didn't test ZSN Pro X, so ZSN Pro is overperformed by this model by a big margin. More natural, more better sounding in every aspect. TRN V80 also probably, at least you know, it's a bit subjective, but to my ears this model sounding a bit more natural. But no big difference, of course. TRN is a bit more focused on the micro contrast and a bit more aggressive. And the KZ ZSX is also this one is a bit better. Despite having more balanced armatures, ZSX is a bit less natural on mid frequencies, so I think this model is definitely one of the best performers in this price range, and also of course it overperforms affordable KZ models I've tested. Oh, sorry, not KZ, KBER models I've tested before. KS2, for example, if I remember their name right, and all other stuff. So basically, let's summarize this part. KZ released really good model in this price range, especially if you like not really colored signature. Definitely pay attention at Lark, it's really good offer. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and have a nice day.